Smackdown Live. I'm not giving my thoughts until afterward because I thought it'd be much easier to deal with what I feel about this show going into Survivor Series. Let's do the opening where AJ and Paulie have their moment. Paulie comes out as AJ is talking about what's going to happen with him and Brock Lesnar. Paulie pretty much says Brock's going to eat you up. Then you get AJ saying, well, let me back up a little bit here. When you really look at this segment of Paul Heyman trying to get over Brock Lesnar and show a little bit of AJ and Daniel Bryan, it wasn't something we haven't seen before. In fact, it was a bit boring from Paul Heyman. I don't hate Paulie, but he is going by script. And he doesn't feel spontaneous like he used to anymore. He just goes along with the flow. That's just the way I feel about it. Now, when it came to Daniel Bryan and it came to AJ Styles, I felt, why? Why were they going down this route with AJ and Daniel Bryan? I didn't really see the necessary... There was only two things I thought that could be useful for this. One, they're going to put AJ over using Daniel Bryan again. Or two, they're going to do something stupid to shock you. That's the way I felt it was. So you had the talk between AJ and Daniel Bryan, and AJ's talking, why are you getting angry? Daniel Bryan says, don't you mention my name again, I'm going to punch you in the face. He mentions his name again in respect, and Daniel Bryan pretty much beats the shit out of him. When Shane McMahon comes out with the entire crowd to break him up, it was okay. But I'm going, why? This is not necessary now. You could do it after Survivor Series. That's where I felt. But then we find out these two are going to have a match later in the night because they started fighting with Shane in the back, with Paige in the back. Just okay. I'm moving on. I'm not going to say my final thoughts on that. We got Sierra Almos versus Jeff Hardy. I don't need to say anything more than that. I just need to shake my head and loss. It wasn't the fact the match was bad. It wasn't the fact the match is good. You got a very great wrestler in Sierra Almos, and he's doing nothing. Yes, you got Zelina Vega back. The gorgeous girl that knows how to do accents. If you watch Up, Up, Down, Down, which I do watch Up, Up, Down, Down, I'd rather see Up, Up, Down, Down from Xavier Woods, Austin Creed himself, than ever generally look at Total Divas unless it's dealing with Naomi. You guys know how I feel about my Naomi. That's it. Maybe Natalya, but Naomi's it. Other than that, when I do look at Total Divas, I look at it online and I skip through everything to see if Naomi is shown. If she's not shown, I'm gone. But you hear that Zelina Vega can do a great accent if she's around you long enough. Woman can do it well. She sounds like the Iconics. But what does that translate to Sierra Almos and her? Nothing. Let's move on. With Daniel Bryan now being in a fight with AJ Styles and now going after the title later in the night, Paige comes to The Miz and says he's no longer on this Smackdown 5-on-5 elimination. It was interesting seeing The Miz and Daniel Bryan interact with one another. Honestly, it is. I did find it fascinating, interesting to see how the dynamic could be. Now The Miz is by himself as SmackDown's... The thing that gets me is, why did they do this with him and Ray? What was the point? There was no need for it. Especially once it came to the match. Because since The Miz wanted to get rid of Ray because it was a Daniel Bryan pick, Ray and him have a match and Ray wins. I didn't expect Ray not to win. It was a waste of airtime. Honestly, it was. Along with another match. The New Day versus The Bar and Big Show. That was a wasted match. Did it look good? It looked good as long as the Big Show wasn't involved. And I'm not against Paul White. The guy's nearly my age or a little bit older. But he can't move in the ring like he used to anymore. Even though he's in great shape. The guy is cut. He's better than me. Unfortunately. But you know what I mean. The guy really shouldn't be doing a lot of activity. And in this match he didn't. That was good. But in the end, the heels win, which I didn't care. Now let's kind of go over to what happened with the Usos very quickly, which I didn't understand. The Usos did not pick the rest of the tag teams yet for the 10-on-10 elimination tag. I guess that's what it was. Let me give it to you like this. You got the Colognes, I believe again. You got the Good Brothers again. And this time you got Eli. Eric Young from Sanity. What a waste. I'm going to say it like this. Sanity. Ty Dillinger. Sierra Almost. I'm not saying that would have been a great team, but at least it would have been with new people. Not the Colognes, who we never see. Not the Good Brothers we never see. Just Eli, along with his two men, and Ty Dillinger, who we don't see much and people love him, and Sierra Almost, which is a jobber right now. That would have been a better match for the tag teams. Mind you, 5-on-5 elimination, you should have you should have put at least 2 members of Sanity, Sierra Almost, Eli. That would have been interesting. I'm being honest, you could have picked them, but you know, they didn't. That's what you get. Oh, I forgot to say, when it came to Ray and The Miz, once you see Randy Orton come out, you would think there'd be something interesting that when I'll say it like this, going back to The Miz and Rey Mysterio. If Randy Orton had interfered with that, then you would have a match between Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio at Survivor Series. That didn't happen. So unless Randy Orton's going to be on a 5-on-5 elimination, he's totally useless. This segment was useless. That's how it felt to me. Moving on. Okay, what else we got here? Shinsuke Nakamura's interview, which I didn't care about. Because they've done nothing with Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, the thing that was weird was when it came, and everyone's saying, what? When it came to Seth Rollins, he hurt me. He broke my heart. And I went, what? Now I'm agreeing with the people. Why? The eccentric Shinsuke Nakamura, who's barely said anything in months, now said Seth Rollins breaks his heart. And now he's going to break him with knee to fist. It would have been interesting him saying that if he's been sponsored for months and looking strong, but as it stands, they've done nothing with him. And Seth, who's not done anything with him, I'm leaving it at this. I don't want to go beyond, but you get my point. The women, when it came to all the women getting into the ring, this was all about what happened with Becky Lynch. You guys know by now that Becky Lynch got her face broken and her nose broken. Well, basically, her entire face and nose is broken and got a concussion from Nia Jax. Nia Jax destroys Survivor Series. That's not the title I'm using, but that's how it felt. I'm just going to say this. Becky chooses Charlotte. Like I said, I'm saving my thoughts for the end of this review. Let's move on. Let me see here. Well, I think that's it. The only thing left is AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan. The second match between the two. Now, one thing that was said that I do not agree with, and I know there's going to be some guys that's not going to like what I say, but I'm saying it because as over 40 years of watching wrestling, with a gap of nearly 10 years, sporadically watching wrestling, I can say I've watched wrestling practically 40 years. well, over 40 years, but 40 years. I can tell you this. When it comes down to it, hearing that AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan are the best that the company's ever had in history offends me a little bit. Because the two best I've ever seen in recent history within the last 20 years. And I know I'm going to get flack for this, but I'm going by performance only, not the attitude of the guys. The performance in the ring. How they managed to captivate the crowd. How they managed to talk. And the two that I know personally, for me, are the best that have ever been in the ring. It's not Bret Hart. It's not HBK. It's not The Ultimate Warrior. It is not Hulk Hogan. It's not The Rock. And it's not Austin. And I'm not taking nothing away from them. They are greats. They've earned their rights to be respected as greats. But the greatest wrestlers that I've ever seen in the ring compared to AJ and Daniel Bryan was a young Kurt Angle and a young Chris Benoit. I know people are not going to say, you're going to say something about that bastard. I said this, I'm going to repeat it again. This is not about what both of them done. You got Kurt Angle, who did freaking drugs and treated everybody like shit. And then you got Chris Benoit, who lost his mind because of the work, both of them, because of the work schedule, taking drugs to compensate for the pain. And when it came to Chris, he decided to kill himself and his second wife and one of his kids. Done. I do not agree with what they done. I don't agree with what Kurt Angle has done. I don't agree with what Chris Benoit did outside the business. They were wrong. They fucked themselves up. That's where it goes. But in-ring performance, there is no one better than those two. Period. And I'm looking over 40 years of my life. And I loved, you guys know, I love Bob Backlund. Brutus the Barber Beefcake. That was one of my most favorites. Yeah, Roddy Piper, I loved him. And The Ultimate Warrior, I did love him because he was like having a Native American feel. But it was about, those two were the best I've ever seen to work in the ring. Period. And hearing that did insult me a bit. They got me a little salty. Got me pissed off. Mind you, both of them are great wrestlers. Obviously, AJ is better than Daniel. I'm not lying. Daniel Bryan is not as great as AJ Styles. That's not a joke, lie, or exaggeration. You put them up against each other. This is it. If you're going on an even playing field, this is AJ, this is Daniel Bryan. This is what you got. I'm sorry. He's just better. Period. But in the end, AJ Styles, you would not think would actually lose the title. Loses it because Daniel Bryan turns heel. Period. And he wins the WWE Championship. Now I'm going to talk about what I feel about this entire show. This show was shit. It was all shock value to try and hype up Survivor Series because Raw sucks so bad. Because when it comes down to it, the majority of the card for Survivor Series is bad. And now that Nia Jax and everyone chews me, well, not everyone chews me out. I see so many people chew out Tamina for being nothing but a stupid fucking jobber and messing the fuck up. Let's be honest here. I would rather have a jobber like Tamina compared to a jobber like Nia Jax, who legitimately should have been careful what she was doing. Look, we know they do stiff now. But let's be honest here. She did a little too stiff. She broke the woman's face and gave her a fucking concussion. And legitimately ruined Survivor Series for the women. And you now are stuck having a match with supposedly the woman that WWE wants to build for, guess what? WrestleMania. Everyone was chewing the WWE out for not treating Becky Lynch right. Because let's be honest here, I believe the reason that Charlotte did not keep that title and go up against Ronda Rousey now wasn't just because this was about Ronda Rousey having a match with Charlotte at WrestleMania. It's because the crowd was so against this, they eventually had no choice but to keep the title on Becky and give it to her. Now, because Becky gets hurt, they now get what they want. They get Charlotte, Miss Implant Boobs, who looks like that her boobs have gotten bigger or her top has gotten smaller. You would think if she's trying to be wholesome to show what a real good woman can be, she'd cover up some of that fucking titty. With no disrespect to anyone who likes to show their cleavage and show their femininity, if I'm pronouncing it properly, and their fertility. Any woman has the right to show their body the way they want. But, and I say this in disrespect, if you're supposed to be trying to be wholesome, a role model, to show that your sexuality is not more important than your ability, she should be covering up those titties and not let them shine like her forehead. That's the truth. But in the end, now you got Charlotte. Because Becky's hurt because of Nia Jax, who legitimately has not been doing her job properly, is now being pushed because of what happened with Roman Reigns. And I feel sorry for Tamina. I know people would say Tamina's nothing but shit. Like I said, I'd rather have a established jobber like a Tamina who knows how to do the business better than a Nia Jax who got brought up way too soon, like I've been saying, and now literally shattered someone's fucking face. She shattered her fucking face. Who knows how many months she's going to be out and how long it'll be before the WWE strips her of the damn title. And I'm talking about Becky. And they hand it to Charlotte because Charlotte is the only person built. Because they don't want to build no one else. This is what happens when they don't build their women properly. There's no one that could have gone up against Ronda. You had no one built like a Natalya or Asuka could have done the job. And both of them, well, I know Natalya's on Raw, but if she had been on Smackdown, that would have been one of the alternates next to a Asuka or Charlotte. Because she's established. Asuka's shit. It's just sad to see it. Now, let's move on. That basically, when it comes to the Usos, it's a joke. You could have used Sanity. You could have used Ty Dillinger. And you could have, or R-Truth for that matter. Because he's popular now. Really hot. Or, you could have easily used Sierra Almost. I said that earlier, but I'm saying it again. It's stupid. When it came to Shinsuke, I didn't care. When it came to Sierra Almost, I didn't care. Now, when it comes to Daniel Bryan, if I'm forgetting anything, I'm sorry, because this is frustrating as shit. Well, I already did talk about Miz and Ray. I already did twice. But this is the saddest thing. That truly, a lot of people are going to say, oh, this is great. How is it great? And this is the final match of the night. That last year you did this with AJ Styles, and you're already being repetitive by dropping the damn thing 1 week before Survivor Series to someone else. But now you give it to Daniel Bryan, where everyone wants him as a face, and they just flipped his ass heel, where everyone doesn't want him as a heel. They want to cheer his ass. They legitimately turned Daniel Bryan against the fans. Legitimately. It's a waste. What happened with the Miz and Daniel Bryan feud? What did I tell you guys? I told you they fucked that feud up, which they did. They didn't build Daniel Bryan right when it came to Big Cass. They didn't build him right when it came to The Miz. He had not been losing before he started dealing with The Miz. He had been beating The Miz left, right, and center. The only time he didn't beat him is when he got beat down or tricked before a fucking match. And now, where you would think this is dumb, they should be doing something with Daniel Bryan. Singing with The Miz on that 5-on-5 elimination, yeah, it's interesting, but they should be doing something more with him. They decide now to give him the title and flip his ass heel just to spice it up. Like I said, this was a shock value show. Does not mean it's a good show. This was fucking stupid. I know I might get heat for this. I know it. But it's the wisest thing to do because it is stupid. But this is my point of view. You tell me below how you feel, and I want your point of view. Give me a reason why you like it. Give me a reason why you don't like it. And have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.